Welcome to Color Me in Sound, amplifying creativity, elevating Black voices, where we illuminate the brilliance of Black women in the arts. I'm your host, Angel Taylor, and today we're honored to have Angela T. Jones, a published author, speaker, and passionate advocate. Angela's work, rooted in authenticity and resilience, aims to inspire growth and change. Get ready to be moved and inspired by Angela's powerful story. Let's color our world with sound. Angela, you are
Hi,
here. I am
hi,
so glad to
Angel.
have you here. Oh my
Thank
goodness.
you.
All right, so you've been writing since elementary school. What
Yes, I
was it
have.
about writing that captured you so early on, and how did your parents and teacher nurture that talent?
Well, for one, my grandparents were very adamant about education. They had grown up, my grandmother particularly grew up in the South and in the early 1920s. So
Oh,
her family came up here during the Great Migration. So education was very important to my family and everybody on my grandmother's side, all the women, because it was 11 children and eight of them were
wow.
girls. Every last one of them had an education and many of them had professional careers. So raising me as a child, she wanted me to have more opportunities than what they had growing up, but at the same time, give me the same abilities to have things that they did have. So, education was one of the things that they found very valuable, and they wanted to make
Right.
sure that I had one too. So, in school, I was the kid that talked too much because I knew the answers because my grandparents had already given me all the answers at home.
Okay. Okay.
So I would finish my work fast and I was bored. And so teachers would eventually they'd like, this child needs something extra to do. So
Like,
they would
please.
give me more writing assignments.
Okay.
And as elementary school progressed, fourth, fifth grade, my teachers were like, you don't do a 3-page paper. We need a 5, 6, 10-page paper from you.
Oh my
And that just
goodness.
really helped encourage me to write and write better. So by the time
Nice.
I got to high school, my papers were excellent.
Nice. See, they didn't even know that they were nurturing you, right?
Exactly.
Wow, that is amazing. Go, Grandma. Yay. Your journey has included overcoming significant challenges, including surviving domestic violence and sexual assault. How
Yes.
have these experiences shaped your writing and your perspective?
My writing and my perspective have been shifted because, unfortunately, through negative experiences, you do view the world differently.
Yeah,
And my writing has actually been cathartic for me. It's given me healing and therapy, along with actual therapy.
yeah,
So I have been able to heal from those instances, but at the same time, I understand and recognize when other people are going through similar situations, even when they don't realize that that's what they're doing in their
right.
own lives, because abuse looks different in every situation. Everybody's
Yes,
abusive situations are not exactly the same.
right.
There are people who unfortunately become victims of grooming and also they
Mm,
are manipulated into situations that they're not sure about. And
right.
for me, having the unfortunate experience of that has allowed me to write from a perspective of healing and
Okay.
encouraging women to change their circumstances and seek therapy and seek assistance to get out of those circumstances.
Right. Wow. Well, thank you. So, when we talked before, you described your writing style as authentic and direct. Why
Mhm.
is that authenticity so important to you, and how do you ensure it shines through your work?
I think at some point, for me in particular, and for other women at some point in all of our careers, we might experience imposter syndrome,
Mm,
where we are trying
mm,
to live our lives the way other people expect us to. And for me, I realized this is what I was doing at one point in
yeah,
my life. I'm saying things that I think other people want to hear so that I don't get rage back or so that I can be
mm,
accepted by people. And it wasn't making me happy.
Okay.
And I decided to prioritize my happiness and my authenticity over what other people may or may not like about me or think of me. So
Yes.
I really shifted how I write to make sure that I'm writing what I feel, what I think, what I know, and it's coming from my perspective. It's also coming from things that I've noticed through observation in the world, research that I've done on my own, so that
Yeah.
I'm not mimicking or puppeting or pretending to be somebody that I'm not just to satisfy other people and their perceptions of what they think I should do or what I should say or who I should
Mm.
be.
Yeah. Wow. That's nice. I love that. Personal growth is a recurrent theme in your work, right? Which we are
Yes.
hearing. Why do you believe it's essential to emphasize that growth isn't a negative experience, but a positive transformation?
I think that personal growth needs to be a goal. Like it needs to be something that people strive to attain in their lives because with your personal growth, that's where you find your actual happiness.
Hmm.
We a lot of times we seek happiness outside of ourselves. We seek validation from others outside of ourselves. We are looking to please other people. But when you are happy with who you are and what you
Yeah.
bring to the world, and you have grown within yourself and you've attained different goals, whether other people think it's a big deal or not, if you think it's a big deal, then it's a big deal. And
Yes.
I really like to encourage not just myself, but my friends, my family, the public, women, particularly, to find your happiness within yourself.
Right.
Because when you find that, that is so empowering and it can give you basically leverage in life because people can't knock you down when you know who you are.
Right.
People can't easily manipulate you into doing things you don't want to do when you're secure within yourself, when you're self confident, when
Yeah.
you decenter men, when you deprogram yourself from patriarchy, you become a force of nature. And
Right.
everybody's not going to like you. Oh, well, that's their problem. Tell
Oh,
them to go to therapy and
well.
fix that. Exactly. They need to go sort that out and figure out why they don't like you for being yourself. But
Yes.
be yourself and find that personal growth. Find what is inside of you that you want to attain that brings you happiness and joy every day in your life. Because when you do that, even when you have difficult times, it's so
Yeah.
much easier to manage. My grandmother passed away,
Okay.
and she was my heart, and I was her caregiver for the last
Oh,
few years of her life.
oh, that is awesome. And it's tough.
Yeah, it's very hard. And she
Yeah.
passed away the week before the holiday.
Oh my
And my
goodness.
birthday is on Christmas.
Oh,
My friends had planned a birthday party for me. I turned 50. I don't
okay.
usually celebrate my birthday with a party because it's on
Right.
Christmas.
Right.
And my friends, my best friend in particular, they threw me a birthday party. And my grandmother passed away 4 days before that party.
Mm,
And I still had to pull myself together
right.
and find that joy inside of me in order to handle the grief, as
Yes.
well as find the joy in my life being celebrated at the same moment. I
Yeah.
don't think I would have been able to do that if I hadn't already had peace and happiness within myself. I think the grief would have eventually, taken me over to the point where I wouldn't have been able to manage my life. But
Right.
my grandmother was one of those people that always told me that happiness is an inside job.
Yes.
And when you are happy and you are joyful and you enjoy your life, regardless, obstacles that come are so much easier to manage. It'll keep you from falling into serious depression. It'll allow you to work through the grief without it dismantling your life. And that's very essential to me.
Yeah. And aren't you glad that you did show
Yeah.
up to that party, right?
Yes, they celebrated me and it was
Wow.
wonderful. And
Yeah.
it didn't have to be a lot of people. I didn't want a big to do. It was
Yeah.
enough people. It was people that care about me,
Right.
people that love me, people that value me there. And that's all I needed. And my grandmother
Yeah.
would not have wanted me to cancel. I knew that.
Right. Right.
She would not have wanted me to cancel. And
Uh-huh.
I enjoyed myself. And that's a memory that I will always have now.
Yes. That is nice. I love that story. So you said that you still write by hand. right? So what is it
Mhm.
about that process that resonates with you and how does it contribute to your creative flow?
I think the written word is art. And
Mm,
when you can see your own words on paper, it
okay,
sparks. It
okay,
sparks something in you. And it also penmanship. Like penmanship is going out of style, right? You know, and my grandfather was the writer before me. He wrote
okay.
music and he wrote poetry. I literally have poetry of his in his own handwriting in frames in my home that he
Wow.
wrote, poetry to my grandmother
Yeah.
and handwritten letters that he wrote her when they were dating up until they got married and even after they got married. He would have cards made for her and he would
Okay.
write the inside message of the card. And his handwriting and his penmanship was just beautiful and poetic. And growing up with that and, being taught to write and
Right.
also being nurtured into it, even to this day, when I journal with an ink pen in a notebook.
Mm-hmm.
When I have to take notes for business, the phone is easy and and it's good, but I still will write my notes from a business meeting. And I keep my notes, I keep my poetry, I keep my handwritten scripts. And then I might, if I'm going to actually utilize it, then I'll transcribe it and type it out, But typically, I use it to sort through ideas. I
Right.
also use it for inspiration. I use it as a form of therapy.
Right. So you were talking about spark. So you said that your creativity is sparked by your daily living. So can you elaborate on how your everyday experiences fuels your writing?
Well, we are living in a crazy world, are we not?
L-
And
We stay let's stay on a positive note.
I promise I'll keep it positive. But as Black women, we in particular have a multitude of experiences all throughout history, and we're not a monolith. And being around other Black women, being a Black woman myself, I draw from my own life experiences in my writing, but I also pay attention to the experiences of other women around me because again, we're not a monolith. And I think we all deserve to have our stories told and have our perspectives, out into the world because too many people do think we're a monolith. Like everybody's experience is the same. You don't have any. No, we all have various different types of experiences, all the way from good to horrible. And
Yeah,
I think that for the purpose of sparking the imagination, when I'm writing fiction in particular, I don't want to just draw from my own experiences because that's
right,
only a singular perspective.
right,
And fiction is supposed to entertain the reader as well as allow them to imagine it in their own minds. So
right.
I might take various scenarios and put them together in one character to give
Okay,
that character depth and development so that when a person is reading it, they may be able to relate to that person that I'm writing about, that
right,
character I created, but also may say, oh, this is somebody that I've never experienced before. This is a different type of person than I may have met in my actual real life. And
right,
so the creativity coming from, us having the world experiences that we have. Because if you think about writing of people like Octavia Butler and, Bell Hooks, even, they had a perspective based on their own lived experiences, but they also had a way of seeing the world and taking that and putting it into either fiction or nonfiction for us to absorb and learn from it.
right,
And the creativity that requires also requires being able to understand that other people have experiences that you don't. And
right.
so, even in research, I'll research if I'm thinking about a character that's completely different from who I am, not
Uh-huh.
based on anybody that I've already met or
Oh,
know, I'll do
okay.
research.
Okay. Okay. So let's talk about creative blocks. What about when
Mm,
that happens? I know you talk about that you do meditation and exercise. And so is that the only thing that helps you with creative blocks?
No, when I am feeling blocked, I'll change something that I'm doing. So we
Okay.
all have our habits, our daily habits that we in our lives that we go through the same way. I'll take a trip.
Oh,
I'll go to a
okay.
different restaurant. I'll open a bottle of wine. I'll try a different television show.
Okay.
I'll watch cartoons because sometimes the brain needs a different stimulant.
Okay.
And because I know that, and I know that I'm in myself, that I'm in this habit, I'm in this pattern, or the way things are going, maybe I'm really, really busy. And because I'm really busy, I'm not able to be as creative because I'm focused on the real world
Right. Right.
and everything going on in it at this moment. And
Yes.
then
Yes.
there's a part of me that needs the creative outlet. So I'll go on Groupon and find something I can do for the day, go on a solo
Okay.
date.
Okay.
I'll ask my friends if they want to go somewhere, go out, go to a movie, watch a movie. I'll find something that is not within that pattern that I can do even in that moment that'll help to spark something in my imagination. And a lot of times it works, even if I just
Okay.
get one paragraph out of it. I'll stop
Yeah.
where, oh, okay, I got this creative burst and I'll stop and I'll write it down or I'll put it in my notes on my phone. And then I
Okay.
can go back later and explore that deeper.
So almost like a reset, I guess, right? Like
Yeah,
resetting your mind to do something else. Yeah. Okay.
exactly. And even
Oh,
going outdoors. I learned through a documentary that I watched that the human brain is not meant to live under fluorescent lights.
okay.
And a
Okay.
lot of us work in buildings that have fluorescent lights. We're inside these boxes, our workplaces all day, every day. Particularly, when the pandemic hit, a lot of people then were able to change how
Okay.
they worked. And working from
Yeah.
home actually was beneficial to our overall well being because we weren't meant to be under fluorescent lights anyway. We're supposed
Mm-hmm.
to be in sunshine. We're supposed to be walking through the woods and climbing mountains and swimming and things of that nature. We're supposed to be human, not
Right.
robots. And
Yes.
so that little change in behavior and finding something else to do to occupy your mind for a period of time is very beneficial to us creatively as well as the health of our brains.
Yeah.
And that's what I learned from that documentary because in my family, dementia is an issue.
Okay.
And keeping that hippocampus going and growing, which some people probably don't even know is possible because I didn't know it was possible,
Mm-hmm.
that actually helps to ward off the symptoms of dementia and Alzheimer's.
Yeah. Nice. So we know that your grandma was an inspiration to you. So let's talk about other people that inspired you, like Zondra Hughes, Oprah,
Mhm.
or Maya Angelou. So what specific aspects of their work has inspired you?
When I was probably too young to read it, my grandparents had a library in the house
Oh,
and
okay.
we books, education.
Yes.
So we had world atlases, encyclopedias, and probably every well-known Black author from the 19th century was in my
Okay.
house. And
Okay.
I read I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings probably before I should have.
Right. Wow.
And even though I did not understand a lot of it at that time, later on reading it again as like when I was older, I understood it more. But being able to read Maya Angelou, James Baldwin, and others right in my home, and then when
Mhm.
I ran out of books in the house, my grandmother would take me to the library and let me just go crazy. Uh,
Okay.
so reading authors and their perspectives and their life stories was very instrumental in me wanting to write. And Maya
Okay.
Angelou was a huge factor in that because I read I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings as a child.
Right.
Later on, Oprah, I mean, the GOAT,
Yes.
Oprah is the blueprint for a Black woman in media.
Yes.
And I had the pleasure of having my own media brand for a period of time. And it was
Nice.
largely influenced by what she was capable of doing. And I think that much like Oprah, I was probably ahead of my time. And I probably should have even changed demographics a little bit at the time.
Okay.
But it was a learning experience. And her success is always going to be inspirational for me because she is one of the few Black women billionaires in
Right.
history.
Right.
And Zondra Hughes, oh my God, I love Zondra. I know Zondra personally. She is
Oh,
my mentor. I adore her so much. And
Okay.
she has given me opportunities that no one else ever gave me.
Right.
I met Zondra. I don't even remember exactly how I met Zondra because it's been years now. She probably could tell you. But Zondra is amazing. She is eloquent, she is dynamic, she is a force to be reckoned with, and she loves sisterhood. And she is a true, like, big sister, not just to
Nice.
me, but to all the women that are in her tribe. And Zondra has always looked out for me in my career and giving me opportunities. She brought me in as a blogger, correspondent blogger for Six Brown Chicks. So I've been doing that
Right.
for years. I give
Okay.
relationship advice on the Six Brown Chicks chat every Wednesday on Instagram because of her.
Oh,
And she is amazing. And her writing career and her career in media and as even as working behind the scenes in media when she worked for Ebony magazine, all of
yeah.
that is she is another blueprint like
Oh,
Oprah in my life.
right. Right. Thank you, Zandra. Oh my goodness. All right. So being a Black woman in America
Mhm.
is influences your work. How do you address the challenges and experiences of being a Black woman in writing?
I think that one of the biggest challenges is that everyone wants us to write the same thing.
And don't they
And
want you to play the same part in movie roles?
they want to typecast us,
Yes.
keep us in a box, make us a monolith. And I think that we need to always fight against that. We need
Okay.
to always look to have our own authentic voices and
Okay.
perspectives and be willing to put them out there. Because what I learned in doing so is that the people who can relate to you will find you. They will find you, they will value you, they'll come back. The people who don't like you, they'll find something else to do. Let them. Let them
So
find something else to do.
I don't think I realized that in writing, like that they are doing that in writing. Like, wow, that's kind of scary, I guess, right? They're just trying to control everything.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because they want to duplicate. And I don't even think people realize they do it, but having had a publishing company of my own and having dealt with publishing companies when I wanted to publish and I
Yeah.
realized I need to do it myself, part of what caused that was the fact that publishing companies wanted me to be somebody else. They
Okay.
wanted me to be another Zane. And
Uh-huh.
although I wrote erotic fiction, that's not all I wanted to write.
Right.
So it's like that's cool. That's what she
Yeah.
does,
Right.
and it's
Right.
not that I can't do it, but I didn't want to be put in a box where that's all that I wrote because I only had so much experience to draw from. Like,
Right.
it's like I don't know how I'm going to get more experience in erotic fiction, but I can write about a lot of different things. So I've had my works published in magazines and such that had nothing to do with fiction. So I've written fiction, nonfiction. I wrote a book in 2014, Breaking Through the Black Ceiling. That was a business and economics book. And it
Right.
was in the top 5 for weeks, and it
Okay.
had nothing to do with fiction whatsoever.
Yeah.
So it's possible to cross genres, and I allow people to force you to be in one, but you have to
Right.
be bold enough to step out and say that you want to do you and not what they want you to do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if everyone knows that you are working on a movie script, right?
I
To pitch
know.
to Black-owned production companies. What inspired you about this project, and what stories do you hope to tell?
I have been holding and hoarding scripts that I've been writing for years. There was even a time where I wrote a script that was so similar to Scandal that I actually had to scrap it.
What?
Yeah. Like my first and Scandal hadn't even come out yet. I had written this script. I was super duper excited about it. And then when Scandal aired, that first episode, and I saw Olivia Pope,
Mm.
I said, "Oh." I
Wow.
said, "Oh, wow, this is way too familiar." Now, Shonda Rhimes did not steal anything from me. Okay.
Right.
I will never make
Yeah,
that
we're not
accusation.
saying that
We are not saying
because your
that.
character wasn't named Olivia Pope,
It
right?
was not.
Okay.
But a lot of the plot of how her agency was set up.
Yeah.
I had
Yeah.
a similar character base. And
Okay.
I said, oh, well, I can't do this.
Yeah.
I have to go back and rewrite this character before I put this out. Because then at that time, people would think I was stealing from Shonda Rhimes.
Right.
So I scrapped that and I said I would revisit it at a later time because I didn't want to look like I was copying Shonda Rhimes, but it was the similarity was very obvious to me. And I know that in creative processes, people get creativity from a lot of different places, and a lot of us are blessed to have it by God. And it comes out in different ways, and a lot of times things might be similar. I wanted to avoid that because Shonda Rhimes has way more money than me
Right.
and ABC is backing her, and I couldn't afford that lawsuit. So
Listen,
I would
they're
rather
not
write a
playing.
new
They're not
character.
playing any games. Okay.
Exactly. And I understand copyright laws and infringement. So I
Yeah.
didn't want to have a situation like that when for me, it would just be easier to write a whole nother character and
Right.
revisit that later.
Right.
But I decided to try something that I've never done before because I've done a lot of short stories on various topics. And some of the short stories have had different types of endings. Everything doesn't have a happy ending. But I decided that I wanted to try my hand at horror because that's something
Oh.
I've never written before. And I thought it might give
Okay.
me a challenge. And
Wow.
yeah, and it's one of my favorite genres to watch. But
I
I
love
wanted
horror
to,
movies too.
yes, but I'm a little picky about my horror. I need some psychological, something psychological going on in it. I need a little mind trip, plot
Right.
twist, and things like
Right.
that. So I like my horror like I like my men. I like them different.
Okay. Okay.
And so I really wanted to try my hand at that. So I've been working on this script for quite some time because I want to do very good character development. And then the
Yeah.
complications that I'm finding in the plot are actually sparking more creativity for me because I have
Okay.
to determine the various methods of which these people meet their demise. And
Yeah.
I have to do it in a way that hasn't necessarily been done before, but also at
Good
the same
luck.
time, I know, right? Also drawing from some of our favorites, because we all
Yeah.
have our favorites. So I want to kind of choose from some of my favorite horror and make it where it's giving a spark of familiarity with people, but just a
Yeah.
little bit, but not copying.
Right.
So it's definitely fun. It's been fun writing it
Yeah.
and it's been challenging as well. But when I'm done, I plan to shop it to various Black owned production companies. I want to send it to Issa Rae. I want to send it to
Uh-huh.
Jordan Peele. I want to send it
Right.
to Fubu. I want to send it to Shonda Rhimes. I want to
Okay.
send it out, and I want to see who's going to bite. And I would love to
Okay.
have this film produced in the next couple of years.
All right. Well, we know what's gonna happen. And it's so funny that you say you're trying to put a different twist on things. And, I watch a lot of TV. So my husband and I watch a lot of TV. And sometimes we see, of course, you see the same thing happen over and over again. And it's like, all of a sudden the family's gonna either adopt a new kid or they're bringing home a dog that they saw. But I don't know what in their creative process that sometimes it works and sometimes it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't. And it's so, and even like the movie with the family that switches places.
Mm-hmm.
They've done that a few times and a couple of them still work
Yes.
and some of them unfortunately don't. So it could be
Mm-hmm.
done. So we can't wait for that.
Yes. I'm looking forward to bringing it to the
Ye-
world.
Yes. So you are focused on living a life of peace. What
Mm.
are your long-term goals and aspirations, and how do you define success at this stage in your life?
Success is, for me, having peace is a large part of my success.
Yeah,
If I can get up every day and be happy in my life and be happy in my relationships and be happy in my career, then I consider
right,
that successful. A lot of people equate success with just monetary, financial. I can have the financial stability. Yeah, I'm working towards having all of that and everything,
right.
but money is a tool for me.
Okay.
It allows me to do the things I want and need, but it does not
Uh-huh.
bring me happiness. It brings
Okay.
me time. it brings me opportunity. It brings me the ability to travel and do the things that I want and need to do. Have my breaks to recharge. That's what money does for me. It's a tool. Money does
Yeah.
not make me happy though. So for me, success is waking up one day and not only feeling happy for myself, but also giving other people opportunities. I would love the opportunity to help other writers. That's why I started my publishing company back in the day. But that's also why I had to close it because a
Mm,
lot of people say they're ready and they're not really ready. And I can't wait on other people. So I decided to
okay.
focus that energy onto myself and my own success. But when people are ready, I plan because I want to have this movie produced. I want
Right.
to, in that, give other people opportunities to have their dreams realized as actors, producers, craft services,
Right.
and that to me is success, not just monetary or financial for myself, but giving other people opportunities to have their dreams realized as well.
Right. Right. So what do you want your legacy to look like?
I would like for my legacy to make my family and friends proud. I
Yeah.
would like for the people that know me to have good memories of me and say, she did that.
Right, right,
I
right.
knew Angela and she did that. And I met
Yeah.
Angela back when she did so such and such, and she did that. And that would be important to me. I would like to potentially restart my publishing company or even just go into production myself
Okay.
and have that be a part of my legacy as well. I am considering helping my significant other with a cookbook. He's an
Okay.
excellent cook, and
Okay.
he wants to explore that in his retirement. My best friend, I am her managing editor for her magazine,
Nice.
and that is a wonderful publication, Detroit CEO magazine, and we're
Okay.
getting ready to open up submissions actually for our music issue that we do annually, and that gives new artists and our legacy artists opportunities to reach our audience. So
Right.
doing things like that are part of my legacy. I have a garden
Okay.
and I want my garden to be part of my legacy. I want the fact that I have the ability to help feed other people and
Yeah.
myself and, part of my legacy that I gave back to my
Uh-huh.
community in that way. And I gave back to earth in that way by,
Right.
being able to grow my own food. So I want the person that I am to be my legacy. And I want to be known as someone who didn't take mess, but she
Yeah.
was a good person.
Yeah. She did that.
And she did that.
So what's in your garden? What you growing?
Oh my goodness. I have grown some of everything. Collard
Okay.
greens, two different
Okay.
types of kale, two different types of spinach, a robust amount of tomatoes. I had no
Right.
idea tomatoes would
Listen,
multiply like they did.
if people try to give me more tomatoes this year, I'm just gonna be like, no. I don't know what is going on with these tomatoes. They just grow like wildfire.
Yes, and I did not know that. And last year was my first year planting tomatoes, and they literally overtook half of the garden.
Yeah.
And they were delicious. They were absolutely delicious. I had some of the best pasta sauce I've ever made in my life because of those
Oh,
tomatoes.
wow.
And I had about 4 to 5 different varieties. So we had
Nice.
fried green tomatoes, we had
Okay.
pasta sauces, we had chili with tomato base. So we made salsa, all types of things. And
Okay.
we
And
also
your
have grown.
significant other, you like, what's for dinner? Tomato?
Well, I didn't know him then. So
Oh, okay.
but he'll get to reap the benefits of the garden this year. So
Okay.
and it was one of those things where I had these beautiful, amazing, large eggplant,
Okay.
and bell peppers and hot peppers. And I grew my own basil. I grew my own lettuce,
Nice.
and it was very, I felt very gratified. I
Yeah.
felt very accomplished because
Okay.
everything was organic, no
Mm-hmm.
pesticides. I
Right.
had to fight off a few squirrels and a couple of stray cats,
Okay.
but the food that came out of it is in my deep freezer now. You know,
Okay.
I had collard greens for months,
Right. Right.
And it was very much so a true accomplishment to me personally, because this is
Nice.
something that I was able to do for my family and share it, because I was able to share it with my friends and family. So that, yeah,
Right.
I can't wait to get into it. I won't have as many tomatoes this year. I learned
Okay.
my lesson
Right, right.
about the tomatoes, unless I just do one flat of just tomatoes. But I plan to expand the garden and
Yeah.
add, I would love to add some blueberries, even though I know they take a while to grow. I would
Uh-huh.
love to add things like blueberries and strawberries to the garden, as well
Oh,
as watermelon and maybe
yeah.
squash.
Nice. Okay. I know I got off track a little bit, but that was important. Yeah, because it also shows what type of person you are. You know, you're patient. So that's
Yes.
definitely important. So, what advice would you give to aspiring creative, particularly Black women who are navigating their own journeys in writing?
Find your voice and use it.
Yeah.
Find your writing style and perfect it. Find your authenticity and put that out into the world. Explore other people's perspectives. Always be open minded to other people's experiences,
Hmm.
particularly those that are vastly different from your own.
Yeah.
It can really give you better character development when you are writing from a place of not just your own life and your own story. And if you plan to build your writing career and include others because you want to do television or film, get a writer's room. And that
Okay.
will allow you to have a deeper perspective and better character development as well, because everyone can't be based on you. So you need a
Right.
writer's room of people with different perspectives and experiences, so that their creativity becomes a part of the project, and then you have better characters. And
Mhm.
when you're writing just your own work, don't be afraid to let somebody you trust read your manuscript before
Okay.
before you even get halfway through. Ask for the opinion of people that know and love you, because that can help you as well. A lot of times people want to keep their writing a very strict secret because they, of
Right.
course, don't want to be, they don't want their work stolen. But you should have somebody in your life that you can trust that will read over what you're writing before you submit it to anyone or anything, or even before you complete it. Even now with AI, run it through Chat
Right.
GPT real quick. Make sure you're
Right.
not accidentally, plagiarizing somebody, because the way the human mind works, you pick up ideas and information from other people every day.
Right.
So, run it through Chat GPT and ask his opinion on what you wrote. It'll tell you.
Right.
And
So
it'll give you some ideas too.
why do you say that they need to have someone read it before they're halfway through?
Because sometimes when you are at a place where you're writing, whether you feel stuck or not,
Yeah.
having somebody's perspective also can help guide you to what you want to do next in the work.
Okay.
You might have been thinking of going in one direction, but that person might give you feedback that'll help you go into a better direction.
Okay.
So you want somebody that, whether they are a professional or not, but you want somebody you can trust, that can read it and give you honest feedback.
Right.
Not just, oh, this is great, but you know what? I would love to see this happen,
Yeah.
because that's your audience. That
Hmm.
person is part of your core audience that you want to reach.
Yeah.
And so it's like doing a case study on
Right.
your work.
Okay. Okay. Well, we've talked about a lot, and I think I learned a lot more about you than I already knew. So, is there anything else that comes to mind that you want us to know about you or your work?
Well, I actually am doing merch also. So there is new merch on my website now.
All
I
right.
have a t-shirt line that I'm launching called Minding My Black Woman Business.
Okay. Listen.
And I also am writing a second edition of my 2014 release, Breaking Through the Black Ceiling. I'm
Okay.
writing a second edition of that, and I plan to expand on that work and eventually finish writing what I call the estrogen economy. That's just like the working title right now. But I want to, the way the world is, I want to prepare us as a community for what we may or may not have to deal with going forward. So I want to encourage business owners in the community on how they can stay in business, and also encourage women because we have the most buying power. The Black
Mhm.
woman community has the most buying power in the United States, and how we can actually utilize that to elevate our community and not have to depend on the federal government.
Listen, Target took a big hit after that blackout that day. So, there's power in the dollar.
Absolutely.
And I love
Absolutely.
that title, that working title that you're thinking about. So no one better not steal it because we gonna know who said it first.
Exactly.
Yeah, but that title is definitely a grabber that somebody's gonna walk back next to it and be like, wait a minute, wait, I wanna see what this is about.
Right. Right.
All right, so look, I mean, you've been looking straight in the camera, but look straight in the camera now. Let us know your social media and let us know your website where everyone can get in touch with you.
Okay. Well, my website is angelatjones.com. And on Instagram, I am official underscore MS underscore Jones. I'm no longer on X, but on Facebook, I'm Angela T. Jones also.
All right. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you enjoyed this time.
I did. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
You are welcome. Thank you for joining us on Color Me in Sound, amplifying creativity, elevating Black voices. We were deeply moved by Angela T. Jones's powerful story and her commitment to authentic storytelling. Remember, your voice matters. Your story is powerful, and your creativity is a gift to the world. Be sure to follow Angela T. Jones and support her work. You can find her links to her website, angelatjones.com, and her social media platforms in our show notes. And don't forget to subscribe to Color Me in Sound, amplifying creativity, elevating Black voices, wherever you get your podcasts. Until next time, keep creating, keep shining, and keep coloring your world with sound.